Hey everybody, it's me, Margaret, and I don't have anything to show you this week for completed projects. So we're going to do a tea time talk because it just so happens that this week we had a whole lot of great comments on my YouTube video on the comment page. I have said before on numerous occasions that I have learned more from this community than I could ever give back. And some of the comments this week, I had a lot of comments this week that were very helpful, and I want to share them with you because not everybody has a chance or takes the time to go back and look at the comments that are underneath the various videos when they watch. So now's a great time to take advantage of that. And our tea that I'm drinking comes from my friend in England. She doesn't do yarn, but oddly enough, she watches my videos. Her name is Nikki, and I met her through our common love of Disney. And I have visited with her in London and seen her twice in Florida, in Disney World. But she sent me, or us, a happy. This is a chocolate orange tea, and it, oddly enough, has this vanilla flavor almost to it when you have it. So that's what I'm having today. So thank you, Nikki. YouTube has now given us one place to see all your comments on any videos, no matter where they are. And my topics may seem to jump around a little bit here today because I'm going to go down in the order that they have appeared. Not all the comments, but just ones that I think have something worth noting to you. For instance, Peggy Darling had written, "Thank you for being so generous with the lessons you learn and showing your mistakes as well as your triumphs." I hear this all the time. People are thanking me for showing my screw-ups. And it's true. I mean, that's the way I learn mostly, is I have to do it, fail, say, oh, that's what I did wrong, learn from my mistakes and move on. And yes, I was that kid when I was little that had to learn the hard way. But anyway, so my point being is that, as Tammy said in another comment, that I was fearless in my knitting. You know, sometimes you just got to jump in with both feet, try something, and sometimes you surprise yourself and it works out well the first time. But other times, you know, you would definitely learn something through the failure process. And I don't mind sharing that with you. Now, next is a comment from Jennifer R. And she has two important things that I need to bring up here that may help somebody else. First of all, I could not reply to you, Jennifer, on my comment page because the reply option was not visible. So I went in and added you to my circles, and you added me back to your circles, and poof, now all of a sudden I can reply. So I'll probably go back and write something in text just in case you missed this video. But I thought that may be helpful for somebody else if they're having trouble, you know, making sure that their reply button is showing up. I don't know. I haven't figured out the intricacies between this Google Plus and YouTube integration yet. It is still perplexing me a bit. But Jennifer writes, can you please tell me what kind of yarn you're using for the poncho for your sister? It's a beautiful design. That's just Vanna's choice, and the color was purple. And she writes, also, I noticed in your videos, excuse me, there's a noise in the background, like a clicking sound. It always tricks me into thinking it's something here, so I always pause the video, but it stops, so I wonder what it is. All right, this is important for two reasons. First of all, that clicking sound is kind of a little, you might barely hear it, and it has to do with the motor of the autofocus in my camera, and I hear it, and I'm aware of it too. I probably could learn my manual settings and make that not happen, but I haven't bothered to do that yet. And I love using my camera. It is an older model point and shoot, but it works great. I love it. It doesn't give me the widescreen view, but I still find it the easiest one to use for my videos. So I might play around with that manual setting and see if I can make that clicking stop. But someone else had mentioned that she couldn't hear my videos. Now, she was looking at one that was, say, 2 years old or something like that, and asked me if I could turn them up. Well, of course, if it's 2 years old, no, I can't go back and turn that up. And so I had to ask her if my current videos were a good volume for her, and I didn't get a response. But now I know from Jennifer's comment, Jennifer R., that my video is plenty loud enough. My settings are correct. So if you think you have your things on your PC turned up all the way, there are still other settings that you can check to make sure that it really is turned up all the way. Crystal Massey had this difficulty a while back. Actually, with her own recording, her voice was not coming out, so it's sort of a reverse. But it's under Control Panel, and if anybody's interested in having difficulties, send me a message and I will look that up and do a quick tutorial. But remember, I'm a PC person. I don't know anything about a Mac. So I guarantee that's probably what her issue is on that. Okay, here's a good one. Cherie, C-H-E-R-E-E-M-N-M. These usernames are sometimes so hard to pronounce. She was looking at one of my older videos. It was Cast Off number 23. I did it back in May of 2013. And her suggestion was about this bag. She was talking about this bag. I was complaining that the straps might stretch if I put something in it. It was already, I made them too long, yada, yada, yada. And she wrote this. Someone may have already made this suggestion, but for the strap, if you crochet it horizontally instead of vertically and use a small stitch like a single crochet, that would help the strap not stretch as much when you have something in your bag weighing it down. I've tried using single crochet vertically for the strap, but unfortunately it still stretches quite a bit. If you try to stretch out the strap horizontally, you'll find that it doesn't stretch near as much compared to when you stretch it vertically. Hope this helps with your future projects. Now, I'm guessing, all right, this one was done like this, short, 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 back and forth like this. So I'm guessing that she means do it the opposite of what I did. So, Cherie, or however I pronounce your Shirim, let me know if that's not what you mean, because this does stretch. See? Boing, 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 boing. So I'm assuming that if we try it the other way, is what she's talking about. We'll do it this way. Now, the next comment comes from Angela Boos, and I think I'm saying that name right. Forgive me for any mispronunciations. She was looking at another one of my older videos, and it was the one in which I compared the Singer knitting machine, the inexpensive one, with the Addy Pro, the smaller one. I had done that video for Pam Chatfield because she said she wanted to kind of get her feet wet with machine knitting before she jumped in and spent the money for a more quality machine. And since I had both and knew the difference, I wanted her to see that that wasn't really an accurate representation of what machine knitting was all about. So I did that comparison, and she pointed out that she got one for her son and found that if you take the handle off, it works much better. And if you've ever seen that video, when it would hang with some of the worsted size weights, and it would make this horrible noise as you were trying to crank it. So if you take the handle off, it works much better. We use the little nubby things between the needles to spin it. So in other words, she spins it from the top. So that's great. So if somebody happens to have one of these machines and wants to give it a go, it may work better if you just take the handle off. Let's find workarounds to make things work. And I stated in that video that there are people who swear that this machine works well for them. It just didn't for me. So maybe I could experiment and see if it would work better without the handle on it. So thank you, Angela, for that. Now, last week I brought up my Fitbit and walking and fitness apps and yada. And Amy Stevenson jumped in and said, free fitness apps for Android. And I am an iPhone person, so I really appreciated this. She mentioned Map My Walk, Map My Run, Map My Bike. They're all different apps. They offer GPS, time, elevation changes, etc. They are the same exact apps you can find for an iPhone as well. And there are even more than that. I cannot remember the one that I used to use before I switched over to my Fitbit. The app that came with my Fitbit, and quite frankly it's kind of buggy, so I may go look it up and figure out what it was I had before. It works, my Fitbit app works, but you can't mess with anything else on your phone without crashing it, it seems like. So I thought if I want to listen to something like I listen to podcasts when I walk, just remember that you need to load those first. I have used Map My Run before, back when I was running, but I don't remember the intricacies, and that was probably about 2 years ago, so I can't speak about its crashability or stability. So, but I do know that Fitbit is giving me fits. Now, recently I did a video on unboxing a Yuzen box, Y-U-Z-E-N. and that is a gift that my big kids gave me at Christmas. It's a subscription service that keeps popping up, and I pulled out some nail polish and it told me it was 3 free, and I didn't know what that was. And Rose Kent 88 jumped in and she pointed out that 3 free is free from toluene, I don't know how to say that, DBP, and formaldehyde, which are carcinogens. Now, a carcinogen is anything that is known to cause cancer. I am a nutrition person, so I know all the different carcinogens in foods, lots of the chemicals to avoid in foods, but I was totally ignorant of the ones that would be in a nail polish. So that was real, I like learning them. She said there are a few popular brands that are also 3 free, like Zoya, and I have heard of that one too. So I was really appreciative that she stepped in and cleared that up for me. Okay, now here's something, I'm going to send you on a mission. I'm going to give you some homework. Teresa Bennett saw the Owl Obsession Afghan that I was working on. I was using the Unforgettable, Red Heart Unforgettable, and I was blaming the Unforgettable for not working well with my making the owls. I would do a reverse single crochet, and then you had to go back over and pick up some of those particular stitches in the back loop only, and it just did not look right. It didn't look like the pictures that were in the pattern, let's put it that way. Well, Teresa writes and she said, "Oh, Margaret, you're feeding my addiction," laughing out loud. I did make the Owl Obsession after watching your video last week, and I used the Unforgettable Candied yarn with lightweight number 3, white for the background, and it turned out just beautiful as a baby blanket for my next grandbaby coming this spring. Congratulations. It's not even yarn. What? It's not an even yarn. That's true. Sometimes it's thicker and thinner than other places. But it makes a beautiful baby blanket. Love the Unforgettable yarn too. And then she puts a link to her blog where you can see the finished product. And it is beautiful. So, I don't know what I was doing wrong. It can be done with the Unforgettable. So, yeah, go and look at her owl blanket because it is absolutely adorable. Of course, the link to this and the other videos that I've been mentioning, in case you're interested, I will put in the description box below. Yeah, so here's a great example of, that was me that couldn't make that Unforgettable work. It had nothing to do with that yarn. It was me. So I'll have to give it a go again and see if I can't have some better luck. Or maybe, Teresa, you need to tell me if there's any trick to that back loop only on the reverse single crochet. Another note on that Owl Obsession came from Kids and Stitches Melissa. She said she had some troubles with the Owl Obsession too. I just didn't like it after I did this reverse single crochet either. I know some people have subbed the Bernat Mosaic, and specifically in the psychedelic colorway. So maybe that's another option. She didn't say what yarn she used when she was having difficulty with that reverse single crochet, but you know, sometimes it is the yarn, but now we have proof that it can be done with the Unforgettable. And then Cheryl, CamCab147, cracked me up with this comment. She was watching, my recent video, Cast Off number 81, Cast Off Monday number 81, which was just a few weeks ago when I went to the beach. And I was teaching myself to do some Fair Isle knitting after watching some YouTube videos. And this is what she wrote. She wrote, "Haha, I love your chocolate, vanilla, and pistachio hat, named after the rhyme you did." Oh, you didn't say pistachio. It is now. So, I was just wondering. This brought up something else. When I crochet, when I knit, when I'm doing anything like that, even loom knitting, there is a rhythm that gets in my head. For example, a single crochet rhythm has less beats than a double crochet rhythm, and it's in my head. It's how I know I finished a stitch while I'm watching TV and stuff like that. So it seemed only logical as I was learning to do the Fair Isle. I had the 2 colors, brown and white, draped over my finger, and then I would dip some chocolate, which was the brown, and then I would dip some vanilla, which was the white, and because it was alternating. And sometimes when you're doing the first row, you forget which color you're supposed to be doing. So to me, it was perfectly logical that I was dipping ice cream, right? Chocolate and vanilla. And so, what would green be? Pistachio. So, thank you, Cheryl, for naming that. I think I just said green. I wasn't nearly as creative when I was practicing it myself. So, but yeah, do y'all have rhythms that you create in your head while you knit or crochet or something, or is that just me? And while we're on that same subject of the Fair Isle, I was having trouble with the floats being too tight. Not on the golden pear hat, but it was on the little scallops hat. And Reasable, R-E-A-S-E-A-A-B-L-E, said, "Oh, on the tension thing, when 2-strand knitting, I go up a size on needle while practicing, and that helps me to keep my floats smoother." now that makes sense. So that's a good little practice tip. Now I know a lot of you don't like to practice and rip out your, you want to make the actual thing, but I'm not. I'm a practicer, so that would be great for me. So thank you, Reasable. I think I'm saying that right. Now I want to end with a note to new knitters or those people who are struggling while they learn. I'm getting a lot of comments that are saying, well done on your knitting. I've tried, I can't do it, yada, 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 yada. Well, guess what? I was you. I had the same situation. I found it to be a much harder learning curve than crochet. And I started with loom knitting, so I kind of understood the construction of the stitch, but yet holding those needles, there's just no comparison to that. You are using both sides of that brain, and you just have to figure out the way in which to hold it that makes sense to you. And I kept trying the English method, the throwing method, and I kept dropping my needles all the time. And finally I figured out a way that I could just hold on to both needles, and that was by doing the continental. So give that a go, see if that works for you. But if there's one thing that I've learned, it's so individual. So that advice could be ridiculous, for you, depending on what your issues are. My point is stick with it until you finally get the hang of it, and it's just going to be a pain in the butt right at first. And once you get the hang of it, and your stitches begin to get even. I had a real problem knitting tightly at first, where some people are too loose at first. But once you start getting the hang of it, it begins to just fall into place, and then everything else goes quickly. So when you begin to learn a new stitch or whatever, you don't have to worry about the basics. You begin to add the new skills, and that comes quickly. So don't give up. It was like math class for me. I'm not a math person, but I remember vividly sitting in math class like, what are you saying? And then all of a sudden a light bulb would come on and be, oh, I get it. That's how knitting was for me. And so once I did get it, the rest of it is coming quickly. So don't give up. So that's all I have for this week. I enjoyed having tea with you. We'll have to do it again sometime.